Hey, everybody, welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Don Zoldi, your host, CEO of P3 Tech Consulting, and publisher at Autonomy Global. We are in a month that we've dedicated to this theme of mission enablers. And when you think of enablers, WISPR Systems comes immediately to mind. We have John McArthur on the show. He's just been, let's call him, we just like some of his drones, he's also got an upgrade. He is now the Chief Revenue Officer, formerly the VP of Marketing and Sales. And he was on the show before. So WISPR is a friend to the show. It's so great to have you back, John, to kind of give all the updates going on with WISPR and how you guys are really impacting so many different missions. So great to have you on the show, John.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so glad that we were able to make it in with you this month because the mission focuses how we think about everything that we do around here, from the payloads that we choose to work with and integrate to how we work with the software. It's all about the mission. I mean, that's the only reason you fly the drone is to go gather data so you can make a decision, and it's all mission focused. So this really is just a perfect platform for us to talk about why we do the things that we do and how we think about it.
Well, I love that, and that's actually your origin story at Whisper is really rooted in mission. But before I even ask you that question, I do want to make sure that folks in the audience, if they don't know you, can learn a little bit about you just to give some context. So, can you give us a little bit about your background first?
Sure. So I'm not a drone guy with my background at all. So I've got two finance degrees, but have been in sales my entire life, and that's how I ended up at Whisper. I've had a relationship with the chairman of our board for coming on, gosh, probably 16 years now, and he called me one day just to check in like he normally did. He's been a big mentor of mine, guy named Chris Ewing, and he called me. He's just like, "Hey man, how's everything going?" I was like, "Things are great. I just had a baby. I love my job." He's like, "All right, well, I want to run something by you. I've got a drone company that's finally ready to start scaling." And started telling me about that. He's like, "Everyone on the team's an engineer, so there's no sales and marketing experience at all. So are you interested in coming and joining the team and running those things?" And so that's how I got here. This is my third, like, we're through the startup phase now, but we were still on the cusp of that really when I joined 4 years ago. So, I always say that this was my third startup, and I love the challenge of coming in and building the processes, building the customer base, and helping shape a growing company. So it's been a blast over the last 4 years. We've come a very long way with our product and all that. So it's been a really fun 4 years for me.
Well, it's been a fun 4 years. First of all, getting to know Whisper through you and your team, and also just watching you guys grow and excel. I just, walking down memory lane here, I remember the first time I met you was at a show. I forget which one, but I remember you had a booth like right in the front. And, it was pretty big. And you had these really awesome little bags because now everybody uses them for shopping. And I'm like, can I take one of these? And you were like, sure. And I'm like, what do you guys do? And, that kind of started for me getting to know, Whisper and what you guys do. But, you guys, getting back to mission, again, your Whisper's whole existence is rooted in mission. And you've been on the show before, and I remember you talked about it. But could you give us kind of that 30-second, version of why the founders decided let's make this drone company? Like this is the important thing we want to achieve with our with our product.
Yeah, I love telling this story. It's not my story. I've only been here 4 years. We've actually been a company since 2017, technically. And so we rolled out of a startup accelerator at Mississippi State. So Connor Ferguson, one of our co-founders, he before he went to college, ran a wireless internet company with his father. So Connor was climbing towers in the Mississippi summer, doing point-to-point site surveys, figuring out how high you need to build a tower or how you need to angle antennas to connect to that other tower, and then was selling it door to door. And while he was climbing those towers, he was like, there has got to be an easier way and safer way to do this. And he grew up with technology, software, and hardware in his fingertips. Like he was building computers in first grade for his dad. And so he started building drones just because he knew how to do it and thought it was cool and fun, which it is.
Yeah.
And in the back of his mind, he was just like, I can put an antenna on a drone, eliminate a bucket truck, turn a two-person job into a one-person job, not have to climb towers anymore, and then program that drone to fly up, find the signal strength, rotate around, record the height, like geotag their location, record the azimuth. All that can be done, in 4 minutes with a drone or less.
Yeah.
And so that was the original thought. And then Connor and our other co-founder, Austin Ratcliffe, end up in electrical engineering school at Mississippi State together and have the opportunity to start building drones for professors. They do that successfully, get to do a whole lot of different things like drone in the box, fixed wing with NASA grade solar panels. So like really cut their teeth on drone prototyping and design
Yeah.
in a really awesome place down in Starkville, Mississippi. And then one day met a successful alum who came to speak to the college about entrepreneurship. And Connor went up to him after his talk and just said, "Hey man, I could build drones. You think that's a business?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that's a business if you want it to be." And so launched, got introduced to the Bulldog Angel Network, which is Shark Tank for students, more or less. And then the original business model was that exact use case that I just spoke about, that point-to-point site survey for setting up internet in rural America. So that's where like the WISP and WISPR comes from.
Yeah.
So it's like wireless internet service provider. That's the name of that industry that
Yeah.
we were originally trying to sell into. So, um, and then we knew that if we wanted to achieve our full potential, we had to get out of that niche market of
Yeah.
point-to-point site surveys and into the more mainstream markets of, public safety, commercial inspection, surveying, and mapping. Um, and so that's what we did a few years ago. We got really focused on the surveying and mapping market. We wanted to go like plant our flag and go be known for something. And so we chose that. And now that we've got a brand and a customer base and a growing company, now we can move into more markets like commercial inspection and public safety.
Yeah, very cool. I love that story too, and so I'm glad folks got to hear it if they didn't know what it was. But the original gap that Whisper was trying to fill was really, that as you think about what is it, the 3Ds, right? Dull, dirty, dangerous jobs, and making them just easier. So let's talk about the evolution, right? So Sky Scout is the drone the drone. And I know we recently talked about some improvements to the Sky Scout series, Sky Scout 2, and how it's different. So we're gonna cover that here in a minute. But I do want to remind everybody, if you didn't know, we did a worldwide premiere of the Sky Scout 2 series. If you haven't watched that, go back and check it out. We dove really deep into the drone and the sensors and all the improved capabilities. But before we, kind of drill down here a little bit as well, I know you have a video. So a picture paints 1,000 words. Let's go ahead and roll.
All right, we got the Sky Scout 2 Plus, which is the one version of the Sky Scout 2, and it's got our new fully Blue List NDA compliant hand controller. It's like more robust for the public safety group. We upgraded PathGuard, which now we have 164 feet of range for obstacle avoidance. We've got Terrain Sense where we can do live terrain following with that sensor. Um, we continue to have RTK out the box. Signal Shield is something that we learned from that old tower game, blocking EMI and how to handle that. Um, you know, we've we've continued to improve our mission planning, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And there's that new Skyboss hand controller. So 7-inch screen, 2000 nit brightness. You can see it clear as day, even in the brightest direct sunlight on it. So it's a really unique thing. So the Sky Scout 2 series, and then there's the 2 Plus. So we have 3 drones at 3 different price points and 3 different levels of compliance, basically, is how we've rolled out the 2 series.
Okay, got it, got it. And so great video. Let's talk about what makes the Sky Scout 2 series, as you said, the 2 and the 2 Plus. What makes it such a big step forward?
So the Sky Scout itself was a big step, which was great. And so we got that out, in the middle of last year, and to roll out and upgrade, about a year later is kind of a tight timeline.
Yeah.
I want to explain the reason why we did that. So we knew we were going for the green list, blue list world. that's just like it's been a big goal of mine since I joined this company. And in order to do that, you have to have like the most secure supply chain, the penetration tests, all those different things. And so we went out and we found a partner for our hand controller, and Qualcomm actually helped us do this. And so we have Qualcomm radios and chipsets on the drone and the hand controller. And those chipsets ended up being, and radios specifically ended up being a lot larger and like hotter than the previous HearLink radios that we were using. And so
Uh-huh.
it necessitated a complete redesign of the drone. It wasn't just like a plug and play, switch the radios out and you're good to go on the same frame and chassis. And so
Yeah.
we're like, shoot, if we've got to redesign it, we might as well just standardize around the best of the best of everything. And so we had an opportunity to start upgrading some sensors for the SkyScout 2 series. And so that's how we ended up launching a product like, almost directly after another. So like we've been in development of SkyScout now for like 2.5 years to get it to where it is today. But again, we just had that opportunity like, hey, we're redesigning it anyway. Let's just not have two different models and we'll just consolidate our like BOM around the best of the best sensors that we have. And then you can pick based off price point or based off of your compliance need, which of the three models that you want, basically. So we've got a Sky Scout with a black Hear Link, blue Hear Link, and then the Sky Scout 2 Plus with that new Sky Boss hand controller that we were just looking at.
Okay, excellent. And I know because John, you and I have talked about this before. I know along the way, of course, you're gathering customer feedback the entire time. I just remember you telling me that, especially with the Sky Boss controller, the ability to see in direct sunlight was something you guys got some feedback on and really incorporate that into the design. Now, you guys have made this claim, and people make a lot of claims in this industry. We know this, John, right? You've seen it,
Oh yeah.
you've heard it. You guys say this is the first of its kind asset class.
Yes.
Unpack that for us. What are you saying there?
Yes. And so back to your point though about listening to the customer. So that's how Sky Scout kind of came to be.
Yeah.
Was we knew we launched with the Ranger Pro, which is still available in a viable platform. It just doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the Sky Scout. And there's similar drones in the market to it. We wanted to do something totally different. We wanted to innovate into a space that not even the Chinese have been in.
Mm,
And so we go around and start asking customers, hey, what do you love the most about what we do? What do you like the least about what we've got?
yep.
Give me your perfect drone. And like almost unanimously, everyone's like, give me the smallest drone possible, but give me interchangeable payloads
Nice.
and like hot swappable interchangeable payloads.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so everyone wants that not to be locked into a certain payload on the drone, but they also don't want to have to fly a drone larger than they need. All
Yeah.
these cameras now are getting very light. You don't need a 25-pound bird to fly a 1-pound camera.
Right.
And
Right.
it just the larger the bird, the more cumbersome everything kind of ends up being as far as just traveling. It gets more expensive, all those different things. And so it was pretty clear the direction that we needed to go. And we had some hurdles in order to be able to get there. And one of them was the quick attach system and the
Hmm.
custom gimbals. What we've learned, and I'm sure a lot of my peer companies have learned the same thing, is that the integration between the sensor and the gimbal is paramount to the integration of the entire system. So you have to have the tightest integration possible from the sensor to the gimbal to the drone. And so in
Yep.
order to do that, we have fostered a great working relationship with Grimsey out of Vietnam. They're a great
Yep.
gimbal manufacturer, and so they helped us design our custom quick attach system. We have custom gimbals built specifically for our drones, specifically for the payloads that we have chosen, which allows that S port to be that plug and play power data running through there. All you got to do is pop it on and tighten the collar and you're ready to go. And that's the workflow that people are accustomed to and want and need. And so we were able to pull that off due to our relationship with Crimsey, which has been phenomenal, and we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm listening to you and watching the company grow and expand, and you know, the number one, listening to customers. If you're going to have a playbook on how to succeed, number one, listen to customers. Number two, have great partners. And Grimsey's a great example. I know you guys also work with Yellow Scan. I mean, anybody that's been in this space or able to go and walk in the Geo Week floor, GeoQ, LIDARs, I mean, photogrammetry cameras, all of it, multispectral. So you have really curated, to use your word, relationships with some of the top tier companies in terms of being able to integrate their products. Sony also comes to mind.
Yeah, I was about
Uh,
to say, being able to work with a group like Sony is just
yeah.
unbelievable. Like you know, every conference I go to, I feel like I get to have, drinks or dinner with the guy who invented the Sony LR1 61 megapixel camera, guy named Alex. And so like we get to give him feedback on, what we're seeing and hearing and what we could do to make that product better. And, they're always
Yeah.
thinking about their next thing. So yeah, it is all about partners. We would not be here without it. We're not a payload manufacturer. Like we are um, I can't remember if I talk about this or if we're going to hit this later, but um, we're a software company that builds drones for specific applications, and the
Yeah.
payload drives that, a lot of that. And you just named
Well,
all,
case in
the
point,
majority of our payload partners. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you just said you had to kind of really go back to the whiteboard to integrate, the controller and things like that you wanted to use. So,
Yeah.
clearly you guys, like, you look at a partner, you see this is the best in class. We're going to now design around this if we need to improve, what we can give to customers. So let's talk about mission, because this is all about mission enablers this month. And you guys enable so many missions. I know, you have the wireless internet service provider was kind of where you guys, for lack of a better term, cut your teeth. That was the
Yeah.
initial focus. And then, as I watched you and we've worked together, surveying mapping kind of comes to mind. But walk us through how the Sky Scout in particular, the Series 2 is, what use cases was it built for, and how's it being used?
Perfect. Yeah. So we planted our flag in that surveying mapping space. This drone is a perfect fit for it. We've got the Sony LR1 61 megapixel camera for photogrammetry. We've got a custom 24 megapixel camera as well. We have multiple LiDAR units from Inertial Labs, from Yellow Scan, GeoQ, all going on there. Payload technology is getting stronger but smaller. And so things are coming our way. We met innovation in the future with the design of the Sky Scout and that open quick attach system. So
Yeah.
um, it's awesome that these new payloads come to market and we're able to get them on to our platform
Yeah,
without,
that's
again,
huge.
it leaves it open ended. That's why people like to buy the Sky Scout, is because they know they're not stuck with whatever payload is available today, and that we are always looking at what's the next best payload, what is going to unlock new features and new benefits to our platform, and new mission sets.
Yeah.
So the surveying and mapping is still like very much the core of what we do, but
Right.
with the advent of the Skyboss hand controller, you now are playing in the commercial inspection world. Those folks need multiple roll wheels. They need a larger, brighter screen in order. I mean, they're zooming in on cotter pins, out in the
Yeah.
and during the day, and they need to be able to see all that and have total control over what's going on with that drone. So like we've got the perfect sensors for them. We've got the perfect size platform. We've got the perfect modularity of the entire thing. And now we've got the perfect hand controller that they're all looking for. And we've got the compliance, which I think we'll touch on here in a little bit as well. So,
Yeah, we
um,
will. And I know we just
yeah,
kind of rolled through some images there. But commercial inspection, when you think about surveying mapping, it's like almost like the brother or the sister to it, right? Like to be able to, it's kind of similar requirements that you need. And, so you got, in fact, if I recall correctly, you guys at the Energy Drone Robotics Coalition Summit? Because that energy
Yeah.
sector, whether it's long line linear inspections, power lines, things like that. That's another space you guys are deeply involved in.
Absolutely. So again, this hand controller, this drone, this payload lineup, we're uniquely fit for all of those different use cases and industries. You know, 3D modeling towers. We got custom software that we can run in order to 3D model cell phone towers. That's a real big one. Runway inspection is getting to be, a really big use case for us as well. And so
So
all these different things are,
like airports, John, or
yes, airport.
interesting, because
Yeah, that's a
this is
big
like,
thing.
now you're talking critical infrastructure. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
some of these things we talked about, power lines, of course, are as well, but like, other facets of critical infrastructure as well in terms of inspection. Interesting.
Yeah, we're smack dab in the middle of all that right now. And
Okay.
again, we're uniquely fit for all of it due to our size, portability, compliance level, price point,
Yeah.
payload lineup. So we're really excited about what we've been able to put together.
And I know agriculture is another space. I'm going to nerd out for a minute. For those that don't know, if you check out the Department of Homeland Security website, they have and Google, or like put in their little search bar, like critical infrastructure or CI. It'll pop up 16 sectors that they've outlined as, hey, in our country, here's like 16 kind of sectors that we consider to be critical infrastructure. And you're kind of hitting all of them. So agriculture is actually, if I recall correctly, one of them. And that's another thing that you guys are involved in.
Absolutely. So excited to get, multispectral payloads out this quarter. So we finished all the integration work. We're just tightening up a few things in the software. And we'll have, MicaSense payloads. They're one of the biggest multispectral sensor players, and maybe the biggest out there that I can think of. So we've got that integrated on the Sky Scout, several different versions of that one. And then there's actually a lens that you can put onto the Sony LR1 camera from a group out of Israel called Agrowing.
Mm.
And so that turns, this incredible 61 megapixel Sony camera into a multispectral camera with different
Oh,
bands,
that's wild.
throttle, sextuple. Yeah, so it's like, we've already got a custom gimbal for it. That's pretty plug and play almost. Nothing's always like just that easy, but as far as an integration goes, it's about as easy as it can get for us. So really excited to get into that space, which is again like not an area we've really been a player.
Yeah.
Just kind of like commercial inspection, our Ranger could have done it, but it's just not uniquely built for it like the Sky Scout 2 and 2 Plus are. So yeah, very excited to launch in the ag market. My previous role actually before I joined WISPR was in the ag world. And so, we're down here in Mississippi, like you just drive past it all the time. So it's never too far from your mind. So very, very pumped about that as well.
Yeah, drones can make such a huge difference in agriculture. I mean, it's such an incredible use case. Speaking of use cases, you mentioned public safety. And and you also earlier mentioned, we're doing some things the Chinese drones aren't doing. So tell me about that in terms of public safety, right? Because we know we're at this weird like inflection point in the country in terms of, you threw out some of the terms, right? NDAA compliance, green list, blue list, all of these things. And the public safety crowd is somewhat caught in the middle. I think a lot of them invested in Chinese tech.
Yeah,
As we know, some, some of those federal grant money has been turned off. Some of the states are jumping on board. I know this is a big challenge for them. So tell me how you see Sky Scout kind of fulfilling some of those needs in the public safety arena.
sure. Yeah, the public safety folks out there are certainly caught in the crossfire. I think maybe
Yeah,
more
for
so
sure.
than any other industry out there.
Yeah.
These are typically uh, folks that don't have a giant budget for new technology, every year. And the Chinese stuff is the low cost provider in the
Yes.
marketplace as well. And so I totally understand their concerns and the heartburn that they have over all this. But at the end of the day, drone technology is now extremely uh, sensitive. Like I'm trying to think of the politically correct way to like phrase it, but having a robust American-made drone ecosystem is an item of national security. And so it's
Mhm.
just part of um, the geopolitical climate that we're in, that those things are looking like they're going to be taken away. At least new models come December, I think 23rd might be the deadline on all that
Mm.
stuff. So but the Sky Scout fits into the public safety market a lot like it does into the commercial inspection space. You have, payload modularity. You've got the American-made aspect that you're going to need. You've got the stateside support. You've got the hand controller that you need in order to perform those like search and rescue missions. I mean, we're in talks to put dropping mechanisms onto the drone in order to drop defibrillators, life vests, EpiPens, all these different kind of things that you can drop in a public safety situation. Obviously, there's just your normal like reconnaissance, eyes in the sky, ISR type work that we
Yep.
can do as well. So those folks need a rapidly deployable, easily portable drone, and that's what we have with the Sky Scout.
Well, all of these things you just said equally apply in the defense sector. And I know that's an area, when you think of NDA compliance, you think of green, you think of blue, that's what people are looking for, all of these different things. And you also said the magical buzzword modularity, right? Modular open systems architectures and approach. That's what the DoD has been talking about for years. You guys have been already doing it. I mean, you built your entire business model around that. I think there's some opportunities there, John, and for anybody listening, of course, reach out to John if you want to learn more, want to check out this Sky Scout series and how it could apply to your sector, because this thing is so versatile. But let's talk about, you talked about compliance since we're on this topic. Government procurement. We've seen the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and supposedly money rolling down on the federal government side. Whether it's defense or some of these other federal agencies. Where are you in terms of NDAA compliance, whether it's the blue list or the green list initiative?
Sure. Yeah, I spent way more of my life around this question than I ever thought I would. Like when I joined the company, I didn't think, government affairs and figuring all this out was going to
Yeah.
be part of my job. But
Yeah. Yep.
very quickly I realized, we better have a handle on everything that's going on, and joined AUVSI. I know they're a sponsor of the show. Like I can't say enough good things about that group and how well they keep me clued into what's going on. If I ever got a question, I mean, they're back within, minutes almost. So they're
Excellent.
a wonderful organization that's helped us navigate this, ever evolving world of compliance and blue list, green list, American made versus NDA compliant, 889, 848, 817. I mean, there's a lot to unpack with all that. And so all of our drones are American made, which doesn't really give you any level of compliance. We've got 889 compliance, which is like an older version of compliance. A lot of states still recognize it, just because it's like, hey, this worked at one point. So the
Hmm.
blue HereLink hand controller is accepted in a lot of states with compliance laws on the books. Um, and so we've got the blue HereLink version there. And then if you need the stricter compliance levels of NDA 848, 817, we have the Sky Scout 2 Plus with the Skyboss. So that's like the fully green list, blue list. We're pending on those. We're in the final stages of that. Like the government's currently not open. So even if we got on the green list today, I don't think we could get on the blue list. There's
Yeah.
no one there to actually uh, put us on there. But we have passed all of the initial screenings for all of it, and we're just answering a few more questions. So I fully expect us to be on that green list, blue list, inside of Q4 2025, which is going to be an enormous achievement for us. I mean, all the folks out there that have done it understand the challenge it is to get through all of those things and the amount of dedication, your team has to put in, not just financially, but, just all the work that you have to do to get on there. But it opens up enormous opportunity for us with the federal government, DOD, DOI, USGS, all these different groups that have to have that level of compliance and want the same things that our commercial customers want. Like you said, they
Yeah.
want the modularity. There's so much synergy that you can gain and efficiency by consolidating around a single platform. It's really hard to be an expert. And when you're flying, high-end UAS, you really do need to be an expert behind the sticks. You need to understand um, the platform that you're up there flying. And it's hard to do when you have to be an expert on 3 or 4 or even 5 different platforms. But what the
Yeah.
Sky Scout allows you to do is consolidate your energy and efforts and training around the platform so you can become an expert on the Sky Scout 2 Plus, but then just add the payloads as your use cases evolve instead of
Yeah.
having a new drone and manage batteries, manage firmware updates, manage changes to mission planning. Like that's really hard to do when you start spreading that out over 3 to 5 platforms. And so we feel like we're again in a really unique space to help out our federal customers in the same exact way that we've been helping out our commercial ones.
Well, that's an excellent point, John. The fact that because it is so modular and plug and play, and with all the different partnerships you have and all the different sensors, to be able to hone kind of training and all of those things, people forget about that sometimes. It's not just about the drone. There's so much that goes behind, and like you said, you guys are a software company that builds hardware around that software, so you really take a systems level approach uh, in terms of integrating both the hardware and the software innovation. So tell us a little bit more about that. I want to talk like now bigger picture, the innovation, the integration, in terms of how you guys set yourselves apart there.
Sure. We started off with it. Our whole story is around, hey, here's a problem. How do we use technology to solve it?
Yeah.
How do we make it easier and safer? And so that's still how we look at things. And so when we're looking at new payloads or talking to customers about like our favorite thing to do is have an end user call us and say, hey, I'm trying to do this. And I currently there's not a mission set for it, or hey, I've heard about this new payload. Like those are our favorite things because
Yeah.
um, that allows us to see into the future a little bit
Yeah.
and dig deep into how's the job actually getting done out there? What do people have to say about it? And so that again, that's how we look at everything. That's how we build our missions. And when we do software up and firmware updates happen, almost every other month. The majority of those updates come directly from the customers. We've got a very easy like request a feature or report a bug on our website, and that goes straight to the top. And we review that every single week and get it on the roadmap and prioritize the items that need to get fixed. And so, or need to get created. A lot of times we're like, wow, I didn't think people would want to do it like that. And then
Yeah.
you talk to a few folks and they're like, oh, that'd be great if it all worked like that. And then, you get a requirements document built really quick and then you can get it pushed in. We've got an excellent team of software engineers that allow us to really punch above our weight, I think, from a software standpoint. And so those guys just, they're doing the dirty work behind the scenes to make life easy for the folks out in the field. And that's, there's innovation and we always innovate to make it easy on the customer. We're always trying to think that's like our ethos of like power to the pro, our tagline is
I
like,
love that tagline, by the
let's
way.
empower the folks out there to get their job done. So we try to innovate all the challenges of that out with software is really how we think about it.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've been talking so much about all the things you've done, and you use this word roadmap. I'd like to talk about that next because you guys never rest on your laurels, and so I heard you say we're hoping to expect uh, the blue-green compliance, but before the end of this year. As you kind of look into your crystal ball, and we round out 2025 here and we blast into 2026, what do you guys have on the roadmap?
So I don't think we're going to be coming out with a new drone within the next year. I'll say that. I think
I
I
mean,
think
you
we're going to
just
take a
had the
break.
yeah,
Yeah, we're going
exactly.
to take a break from drone releases for a little bit. Those guys have been grinding so hard on the
Yeah, no
hardware
doubt.
engineering to pull that off. So we are always looking at new payloads. We're always looking at new mission sets, and so we've got some teed up. I don't want to talk too much about them because then my customers will be asking me nonstop about, hey, when's
Yeah,
that?
where is it? Where is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a few things that we'll be able to bring to the Sky Scout 2 and 2 Plus from a payload standpoint. More inspection specific mission sets
Mhm.
are definitely in the works now that we're into that market, and we're going to learn a lot. The more we're out there talking to customers about the things that they need. So more payloads, more missions, and then a big focus on really learning the federal government side. There's a lot to learn there. I mean, it's its own beast, and so um, I'll be pretty focused on that. For the rest.
Yeah.
I mean, probably I'll probably still be saying that, December 21st, 2026. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it
Ever
is hard to
evolving
keep
thing.
up. I will give a plug for one of my big partners, Carasoft.
Oh yeah, you
They
you
they
introduced
put
me to
out
them. Yeah.
yeah, they put out a ton of resources. We're really
Yeah.
excited. They're going to kick off the new year on the Dawn of Autonomy 2026. Lacey Ween, given that kind of overview of, hey, from a legislative standpoint, or kind of what are the trends we're looking at. So don't miss that one, John. But you know, let me ask you this question: as we look at the industry, at this year, next year, we part 108, right? It's underway. Hopefully that's going to be finalized, right, in a timely manner in 2026. But a couple of things that jumped out of that rule set, that rulemaking, what was the words automation or autonomy, as well as intelligence, right? Like, so as you look to the future for WISPR, how are you guys working on those two very important things in terms of all the different mission sets we discussed today? How are you going to bring automation and intelligence to bear through your drones and through software for
Yeah.
those missions?
Great question. Like you, autonomy is in our actual business name. Your Dawn
Yeah,
Autonomy, our actual parent company is named Autonomous Industrial Solutions. And so autonomy has been at the forefront of what we see this becoming since 2017, since our founding. Like that was the name we chose in 2017 because we wanted uh, to be on the cutting edge of what we saw coming, which is this autonomous revolution of UAS. I mean,
yeah,
it was, you know, really uh, visionary of Connor and Austin to be talking about that all the way back in 2017.
I would
It did
agree.
now.
Yeah, I mean, so where are you guys in terms of like drone in a box, right? Like, I mean, if there's kind of
So
an
we're
auto,
we're working so we're working on it. Yeah. So we've got a couple irons in the fire there,
yeah,
for sure. And so drone in the box is not like just the future. That's like the present. There's already people doing it. So like we're not the
yeah,
first to get there by any means. But that if you're not looking at that, I think you're going to miss the boat pretty big. So we've been working with a
yeah,
couple of groups to bring that to market. No timeline there, but what you can do from a like DFR standpoint, what you can do from a commercial inspection standpoint. We've even talked to
absolutely.
construction companies that are like, I want a drone in the box on every one of my job sites that at the end of the day it flies the mission, processes the data without us having to do anything, and so we can get a progress report daily without us having to hit a button. It's like we can build that for you.
Yeah,
So that is going to be the future. There's going to be less human interaction at every step of the way.
Yep.
And drones are just be more and more a part of everyone's daily lives, and they're not even hardly going to know it.
Yeah, and on the software side, as we know, it's all about the data.
Right.
So you guys are looking at automated workflows or anything along those lines that incorporate or not, artificial intelligence or anything like that.
Yes.
And that's all I'm gonna say. I could tell you more, but I'd have to kill you.
Yeah, yes.
No, I get it.
We're definitely doing that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
again, it's just you could program anything to think somewhat like a human and make, when you're processing data, it's a lot of click here, click there, choose this, choose that. You can automate that. And so we are looking at it for sure
Yeah, excellent,
and
excellent.
working on
All right,
it.
so as I knew our time would fly, no pun intended, we're kind of coming to the end of our time together here. So how can people learn more, John, about Whisper, about the Sky Scout series, 2 series, and all the things you guys are doing?
Well, certainly needs to follow the Dawn of Autonomy podcast and go look at all of our videos that we've been
That's true.
doing, because you'll find out everything you need to know and more
Yep.
from our conversations. But the easiest place to go is to our website. Hit the menu button. It'll take you to something called Whisper U, which is our like curated library of Sky Scout content, more or
Oh,
less.
cool.
And it goes everything from setup to breakdown to mission planning, processing data. It's all in bite-sized videos as well, like 3 minutes or under. It's not meant to be
Nice.
like frontline training, but it's meant to be there to give somebody an idea of what it's like to work inside of our ecosystem. Or also, if you have been trained, it's a nice little reminder. Sometimes I have to go in there and be like, wait, how do you do that again? And go in there and check out the video real quick and do that. So that's the best place to do it. And then if you want to get in touch with me, you can fill out a form on our, there's probably 20 places to do it on our website. Just a
And
little
speaking of
contact
which,
us form.
everybody, I don't mean to interrupt you, John, but I'm going to. The QR code there on the bottom actually takes you to Whisper's website. So take a second, scan that, and you start exploring the 20 places where you can find John and all of these cool snippet videos of all the different facets of the Sky Scout 2 series and everything else Whisper is doing. So that's so cool. All right, John. Well, we're going to kind of end it here. I'd love to cede the floor to you for some closing comments, and then we'll call it a wrap. So over to you, John.
All right. Well, Dawn, thank you again. It's always a pleasure to do this with you. You know, it's uh, it's always like enlightening conversation just to hear from your side, because you talk to so many people in this space. So thank you again. But yeah, it's just wonderful to be here for the mission month, because that's what we do. So if you take nothing away from this, I just want people to understand how Whisper thinks about the industry and how we think about innovation of our own technology, and it is all mission focused. So if you got a mission set out there or a payload, get on our website, request a feature. We'll give you a call and we'll see if we can't get it in there for you.
All right, very cool. Well, everybody, that is all she wrote. Thanks so much for joining us. We are out here.